we're doing a smaller short rest today.
Not because
Steve,
anything was weird, but we had to take a break for the baby, and people had to go eat, so we are just doing us two solo.
we're doing half a party. Half a party, essentially. So this is for episode 86. A lot of interesting, wild things occurred. Some new information found, I think. Maybe we should recap of what happened. And then we can go through some ideas of maybe what occurred. First and foremost, you guys made it back to Alrak. You know, no problems. Had a very emotional talk with Mary Kane, who, very much like Uthiel, is very much worried about the populace, putting that over her own feelings, which she's still going through.
I think that poor woman's had a lot to go through. I mean, everybody in this campaign has, but she lost her kid. She got her kid back. She got reunited with her long-lost loved, got married, got in a house, and, well, like, she knew stuff was going on, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna rip that wannabe picture-perfect scenario from you in an instant. And I'm sure she's not only sad, but pissed. But, you know, based off of how you play her as a NPC or a character, I don't think she's going to show the anger part other than what she showed today. It's kind of a mix of sadness. But, like, I don't think she'd show, like, full anger.
I think...
Because she's got the parent buff of...
Yeah, the way I think of Mary angry is I don't really see her as, like, an angry woman. You know, she's more of a... she's the mother who'd be like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
And she's like the epitome of that. So like when she's hearing, obviously she's heard about, you know, Queen Evergrey through Moscow, or you would have told her through some sort of means. Because I'm learning about this about Vera. She doesn't really hold information anymore. She's like, he's in suspended animation, or we're against a lich, or you've been very forward.
Because, like, what's the point at this point? Like, I'm gonna hold it and something's gonna happen, i.e. like what happened now. If you like, and I said it before, I was like, if we're asking people to sign up, quote unquote, to help us, why the hell am I not gonna tell them what they're getting into? Like, I don't think Vera thinks it's right not to be like, oh, blather your whole life story, but in the sense of like, if you don't know what you're fighting, how are you supposed to prep for it?
Fair.
And you're just be like, yeah, I'm gonna bring a sword, do a gunfight, get shot. Like,
okay, I can respect that. I was always curious of why Vera was always upfront with information now. Before she wasn't. She was very much like, we're against something dangerous, so you should either help or hide type of scenario. Now you're just like, we're against a lich. If you want to do that, do that.
Well, we were at a point where we didn't, I think as a group, even without Stephen Temple here, or Savannah and Rolly, we were at a point where we didn't want a lot of people involved because of shit like this would happen. You know, like, the more she knows, the more pull she has about us. Not that she couldn't find out. And that was always our fear. And then we were getting to the point where we all said, like, this is getting bigger than us three. Like, I think we need help. And whether that's putting people in danger or if they know information, whatever it is, it's just gonna have to be done. And then, like, we started doing that individually, and now it's just like, well, we're at the fuck it point. We're at the whatever she's gonna do it, she's gonna do it. And it's like, if I don't tell you, you're not gonna be prepared for it, so...
Fair. Very fair.
Like, I don't even think our group is prepared for half the shit she does. Like, we just, like, aftermath it, we clean it up the best we can, and then reassess and go back with whatever the hell we gotta do now.
Well, I mean, as that was sort of my what I was able to pick up from Vera nowadays, but very fair logic and thought. Learned that not only was Igno affected, but Roman was also within that line of cone, that sort of line of energy.
I think Igno hit the panic button and just like locked Roman in there.
So I could share a little more detail. Obviously, this will be shared if and when you guys are able to get past this Arcane Century, but we'll get that to there in a second. Let's hold on to that thought, and we'll get to there when we meet Roman. you all had something individually, something way to cope with all this. I appreciate there was a little bit of a hesitance, and I'm sad that Steve's not here because I would have loved to have picked his brain at it. But Rolly's definitely going through a moment here, sort of this emotional breakdown, and I kind of thought it made sense for have this grandmotherly type Mary to sort of sense that she's known soldiers, her son and his friends, and how they go through things, and I figured some quiet advice and quiet comfort would be nice, and it seemed like it got him out of his funk a little bit. Probably not fully.
I think for Rolly, he's used to playing my friends lost something, let me fix it. And instead this time it's like, I lost pretty much, well, not everything,
Almost
but I feel like he thinks he's lost just about everything at this point. And it was never really directed to him or like others around him. I feel like Rolly's the type of person, you do whatever you want to me, just like leave my family out of it and I can take it, but I think, you push the right button.
Yeah, I apparently hit some button. But I'm really sad that we can't really pick his brain to get an understanding of what his character's going through, but
you can next time, maybe make yourself a mental note.
Yeah, but what it seemed like to me was that Rolly was in this funk, and rightly so.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Savannah was like, I'm trying to help you, but I'm running out of, I don't know what to do. She's not equipped for this scenario. And I think having Rolly on the sideline for a moment really calmed things down, for him, maybe mentally. But you guys all did your separate thing.
I think for Sav, again, Temple's not here. Maybe we could circle that back.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not remembering something, but I feel like Sav has been so carefully guarded with most people close to her, with the exception of us and the people she's met while being with us, that she hasn't really experienced loss. Like, she's had stuff happen to her that was awful, that she's still got PTSD from, but I don't feel like she's lost as much in the sense of death or bad things happening to people around her as intense as Rolly and I have gotten it. But I don't know, that's just a thing that I feel like. But I mean, she's been very careful about not bringing up where people are, and we're just well, we'd love to do that, but at the same time we want to see her family, so it's kind of par for the course.
Yeah. No, that's very, I mean, again, we wish we had her Temple here to sort of explain more, but all that said and done, you guys made your way to Igno's tower, which is fully imagine a straight tower, and light hit it, tore a hole into the foundation, and just for any straight tower Wizard Towers shouldn't exist. Lighthouses are a thing because they're structurally sound, made of stone, or made of either strong stone, and even then they have to be repurposed in multiple times, or metal. And then a wizard's tower that has 6 stories high or higher just cannot stay after any incantation. I can't say that word today.
What? Incantation?
Incantation, thank you. Fallen, and only the first story is barely standing with holes and walls missing. But learn that the family's okay.
I don't think even when Sav was waiting for Vera to say something, I don't think Vera knows what the fuck to say anymore. She's so used to knowing what to say or having something to say about the situation, whether it's abrupt or kindness for whoever she's trying to direct it towards. But she was I don't got anything to say to this. I didn't as a player, and I don't think I did as a character, just because she was I had to spread bad news and then receive it all at once in a day. And I don't think I have anything to say nice anymore.
Funny thing enough, a little bit about Igno's family, I kind of made it remember, I think it's...
He had a panic room?
No, Avengers, I think it's Age of Ultron or something, or maybe this first Avengers, where they meet Hawkeye's family.
Oh yeah, safe house.
And it's wait a minute, you had a family? That's how I built Igno's family, is he has one. He doesn't like to talk about it because he works as a domain chosen. It's I'm going to be secure about my family, and that was the idea. His family was in the tower as it fell. But, you know, they're okay, just probably hurt.
Yeah.
You guys, there's a little bit of a puzzle with the teapot.
Our dumbasses.
There's a
I
few
felt like that was the DM being like, I can't give you a bigger crumb.
Right. I like the idea of like, I'm going to take it with us and we're going to find out later. And it's like,
I think that would have been par for the course though, because you were like, magical item, why not just take it with us? Like, let's go. Because we were trying to just like find out what we needed to find out and get out.
fair, very fair. But you guys figured it out. You know, obviously having identify is very useful, especially with Felix. I think if that wasn't an option, you guys would be very lost. You guys are level 18. I'm not. You don't. It's not like you don't have.
I think I have detect. No, I have dispel. I forget if I have detect and dispel or only dispel.
I think you have dispel.
Yeah.
You found the floorboard. Used a face step in an interesting way. Boy, you guys spent a lot of time with that statue.
Well, you were like lights coming out of it. I was like, so it's got to do something. And then it was looking at the torch, so I was like, oh, it's supposed to do something. No.
It's just the way it was. The way I built it was, there is a archway, sort of like maybe a 5-foot path that leads into another spiral staircase. Like, imagine spiral, stops, goes a little bit, and then spirals. So during that little bridge area is where it's just a little archway, and in one wall is the arcane sentry, is what I named it, just embedded in the wall, petrified, unmoving.
What set it off?
The orbs.
Oh, okay.
So I'll get into that in a second. So
I was gonna ask if we put them back in the right order when he go away, and I just didn't think to do it because I was like, we gotta just find paper and get the hell out.
I mean, it's possible. So I can describe a little bit of the scene, and obviously we'll have a little bit more role play, a little more details in one person's perspective from Roman. But essentially, this magic mansion, this little demi-plane that Igno can create, it is a spell that requires concentration.
So he's still concentrating on it?
Not really. So the idea was that Roman was there with him, and Igno was like, go look up, examine the phylactery. I need some details and some notes. Roman was like, yeah, sure. And goes into the demi-plane, opens the vaults, starts reading out notes from the outside. And then Igno gets taken. Concentration drops. But because of the different way that this is built, instead of ejecting him from the demi-plane, the door closes. So Roman was locked inside this demi-plane because Igno was no longer concentrating, or no longer had access to open it. So Roman was just trapped. He was like, I'm in a void. I'm in a square void with a phylactery and a steel vault. So you can imagine that's why he has no spell slots, because you can imagine for a few hours he was just like, get me out of here. And then just going, I'm trapped. Like,
my thought was that I was like, dude, you probably ran out of spell slots the first day. Why not rest and then get them back?
The way I wrote it is that it is a black void. It's kind of hard to sleep here. Because solitary confinement is a thing. And especially being in a small contained place, especially one where just black walls, ceiling, and floor, that can fuck with your mind.
Yeah.
A lot. And so the idea that I had was that Roman probably wasn't getting a full night's sleep. He was waking up going, like, am I still here? How long have I been here? Like, it's hard to tell time. And if he was going to be in there any longer, I would have had some mental effects going on him. But he wasn't there too long enough where that was going to be a thing. It was more just he was shaken.
I'm just laughing that he wasn't one of the people that we chose to message. But, I only had so many spell slots.
You almost did.
Yeah.
You had a choice to message Igno, or you were mulling this over in the last session of reaching out to Igno or Roman, and I was like, oh my god, if they message Roman, he's gonna be like, guys, I don't know where I'm at. I'm in the vault. How do I get out? And you had
we were headed there anyway.
I know, but it would have been so
So-
much more. It would have been a thing, and I was like, oh damn, they never messaged him. That would have been so much fun.
I think we just figured he was gone if he was with Igno. And like, that's what it looked like before we found out.
Yeah. No, he wasn't taken.
He was in the panic room.
He was essentially in the panic room. And so those orbs, what they did was that they essentially... It's like a breaker. It's like a... What is it? You like reset the breaker. Like, I'm thinking Jurassic Park, the original. Where they have to turn everything
like it
off.
resets the whole thing.
And they have to turn everything back on. So essentially what ended up happening was that you turned everything off. A few seconds went by, and you were like, uh-oh. And before you would turn, touch everything, it turned back on. Everything turned, the fire went back on, the light went back on. And that means the sentry bot that was there to guard restarted and
She
was like,
turned it off.
like, I'm ready to patrol. And, yeah, this thing has, it's almost like it's a banishment spell that puts you in jail. It's still concentrating on Savannah.
I don't know. Hopefully, Rolly just gives it Remy's credentials. Interesting that that's not her real name. I mean, we don't know that yet, but Rolly does.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a small details, but it's like...
So is like Roman his name and Igno his name, or they chose those names? Wow.
We never had that conversation. Yeah. So, but it's a fun idea where this it's almost like a RoboCop.
I can quote Temple on one thing 'cause she messaged us. She said, what'd she say? I got my boyfriend back and then I went to jail. That's BS. Verbatim. And then she sent us gifts of cats in jail.
I thought about this really powerful jailer, and I wanted to implement it somewhere. And this was a long time ago. I was like, man, I would love to have, like, I wish I would have thought of this earlier when you guys were visiting the jails during the investigation part of this adventure, when you guys were looking up, like, the death of the king and the arrest of Moscow and the rest of the Books and Brew crew. I was like, I wish I would have thought of this. So I thought of it afterwards when I was mulling it over, and I was like, I have to implement this somewhere. And I was like, well, they're probably really aggressive robots, this little construct that the domain was like, we can't do these anymore. These things are just out of control. They're hard to maintain.
Aggressive.
They're a bit aggressive. We need to work on it. And Igno probably was one of the last few to go, I have already one in my basement. I guess I'll just deactivate it. I'll just keep it deactivated in my lair somewhere, because I mean, I don't want to really, like, he's the type of person to be like, well, maybe.
I mean, to be honest, it's probably a good thing he had it if Evergrey or her minions came down there, but yeah, it sucks if you're an actual friend.
Yeah. So they have these strong, I mean, at least this is one of the few left that are active. Now are active. But it's funny how it's like, this thing is too dangerous. Let's go ahead and...
So then does Roman even understand what happened to Igno? Like, does he just know, like, light came through and he got stuck?
All he knows is that Igno lost concentration, and as a spellcaster himself, that can mean many of things.
Yeah.
Either he got hit and lost concentration, or he is dead, or he is on another plane of existence. He doesn't know. All he knows is, my friend dropped it, and I don't know where he went.
I feel like that's the only one that Vera thinks might be dead. Only because of what happened to Sav. Like, yeah, there's that potential that they've seen, Gina Lee all chained up with runes and everything. But, like, she's hoping that's the case for all of them. But that's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he knew he was going to be a target. I think the moment we told him, "Can you destroy this stone?" I think he knew he was going to be a target once he did some research into it. But
And he's an old adventurer. He's, you know, he knows that he's gonna get in the line of fire. He's done it before. He's an old dog. By the way, I did write in that his wife, way younger than him, and his kid, I think is like 10 years old or something. Imagine that. He's like an 80-year-old guy, and in his 70s, he's got it on. So, good job, Vigno.
Like a 30-year-old wife, probably.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I'm not always thinking of all these little details, but it's like funny to think about. Like, yeah, he's probably like, I'm a domain chosen. She's like, oh, really? Yeah, baby. No, they have a clean relationship. Is there anything that Vera, like right now, Vera's kind of alone with Roman.
Yeah.
And he's looking for the documents on the servant to Pelor. I was like, I like that role play where you were like, let's go, and he's like, I have to collect everything. I don't know where he left it.
I know, she was like stressing out. Well, no, like she knew he needed it and we needed it, but we're like, you need to move faster because if it bams me out, then it's just here with you and you ain't gonna get it regardless.
No. I think the only spell he has is like Ray of Frost, which is like, that's his only damaging spell with him right now.
I think Vera has not given too much thought to the servant of Pelor only because she felt like, how do I put it? One of her goals, I guess, was to be some kind of champion. I don't know if that's changed. I think champion has taken on a different interpretation for her. And I think she thought that maybe she would just be good enough to fill that role. And then when she found out she wasn't, she was a little butthurt about it, but just didn't say anything.
Wait, do you think this is like the champion of...
No. She doesn't think this is a champion. What she meant, like, because they were like, you need a servant of Pelor. And she's like, I am one. I've done all this. Like, why can't it be me that helps? And it's not her. So she's like, what do I do to do that? But I think she's just put it so far back in her mind that she's just like...
To maybe help that aspect, that maybe Vera's... Again, they needed an outer playing being. Someone from, I think it's called like Mount Celestia, or outer, from other
Well, that's
planes.
why she looked at those papers. Like, she was like, can I learn anything when we were in the Dreamers library or whatever, the Luca library?
Yeah.
But nope.
But no, that was the thing. Like, no, I mean, you could have spent hours or days looking up Mount Celestia and out like other like mechanists and other the abyss somewhere. You could have spent hours looking at these whatever documents the Dreamer has on them and the flock has them on these extra planes. But it's one of those things where it's like, the longer you stay here, the more things get weird.
Yeah.
And then the Dreamer Beholder was going to repair itself. So it's like, do you have time?
Nope. Gotta go. We keep getting into situations where we need fancy paperwork and we are gonna get in like line of fire.
But no, it wasn't that you weren't a servant of Pelor. You are technically. You're a cleric of Pelor. Yeah. This is more like, this is an angel of Pelor whom he set down and who was able to traverse into the material plane and stay there. At least that's what they're looking into. There's detail on this. I think his name was like Veros, the messenger, or Veros, the messenger. I named him.
I think Veros the Observer.
Of the Observer. Thank you.
I wrote it down in the mini notebook.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I think that was Amber misinterpreting, but I think that was Vera's initial go of like, why can't I do it?
Yeah, it's very, very broadly worded. And you're like, what about me?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we need like a Dendar type of situation. We need someone extra dimensional to help.
Yeah, I don't think she understood that.
Okay.
I didn't understand it either.
Clarification.
So, yeah, I think she was a little hurt, but then like she doesn't, like I said before, I think off camera, Vera's the person that does the thing that needs to be done, not because she wants to, because she knows that most likely nobody else is going to want to do it, and she's just like, just give it to me, I'll do it. Like, I'll fix it. And that's just been her her mentality ever since, like, she got wrapped into this mess.
I still can't believe we're about to hit episode 86?
87? I don't know.
What episode?
I think, no, we aired 85. We were at 86, so 87.
Oh, we're on 86. Did I mess that up in the intro?
No.
No? Okay. Wow, we're about to 87, sorry.
Yeah.
87. Wow, we're in the 90s. Jesus.
Long time. A whole pregnancy worth.
For reals. Wow. Well, we did have like a 3-month hiatus, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but our baby's also 8 months now, so. Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. I don't know. I think she brought up, I wanted to bring up the age thing with Uthiel on camera because I was like, that still bothers her. Like, again, it never was like a thought. It was never, I get what my dad means until he died. And then she was like, oh shit, now I get what he means.
It was an interesting little conversation that your parents and your family would have about like who you're dating, who you're marrying, and then contrast these enemies that you guys are fighting are all looking for some form of immortality, and then it becomes.
Well, I think we had that conversation in the beginning when I got him back, and you were like, I was like, I think Vera would try and keep him around, and you were like, really? And then I was like, no, not after getting to this point. That's why I said, I was like, I think it would have to be your decision, not mine. Because she's seen how ugly it gets from somebody wanting to live that long. Not only as a lich, but Miles is a fucking casket with legs walking around. Essentially, that's a human. And she's just like, I think as much as she would love to have him around for like a very long time, this is like, it wouldn't be right to do that.
Yeah.
If that's not what he wanted.
It's an interesting contrast of wanting a longer life. Like if you were to put your wants or desires or wishes, I should say, in a very bare bones, like straight on paper, no fluff about feelings or, processes, you want your husband to have a longer life.
Yeah.
And these enemies, Belladonna, Blood Eyes Belladonna, the Blakes with the vampirism, Lily Underwood, who wanted lichdom and now an actual lich, are all these sort of play on the ideas of having a longer life extended past any normal person would have, and how it kind of twists them in some sick way.
Yeah, I think the result would not be what Vera wants. Like, it's like, look what it took to get you there. And
yeah.
Is it actually worth it? I think if it was like, he lived to 100, she'd be okay. Like, hey, you have like, nowadays, in real life, humans can live to 100 if you take care of yourself.
Don't you have like, that means you have like 600 more years to go.
No, I know. She fully realizes that, but I even made it when I built that character that I was like, she wasn't looking for Uthiel. She wasn't looking for anybody. She just wanted to go out and study and do her thing, and she was like, oh crap, I found somebody. She was not the type to go find somebody and be like, yay, let's go out on dates.
I think it'd be, we would find a very different, Vera if we were to revisit her 200 years in the future.
Yeah.
Very different. A very different person. Maybe
I think it would depend if her and Uthiel have kids. If they don't die and have
interesting
and have kids, I think it would shift. If they don't, she would probably just kind of fully devote herself to like her family and her god, essentially. To her, it's like some weird uncle that like has divine power, but she's just like, that's my friend.
That's a thought. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah, she doesn't know. I mean, that was what I would want for her. I think we talked about that, but then at the same time, it's like, are you actually going to get to that? Are we going to just die straight out trying to fight this lich? Like, we may not even get there. We may not even have to worry about the
Maybe it's a conversation to happen after the fight.
Yeah.
or after the adventure, see how this goes. Because what if Vera doesn't make it? What if Uthiel doesn't make it? A funny, interesting thing about that, again,
If Vera makes it and Uthiel does it, she'll fully resurrect his ass again. Cause she'll be like, no.
okay. He's gonna be like, again? It's another funny thing again is that what Vera has is that you still have that bond, that ability now that goes across plane, so long as you're on the same plane of existence.
I think the last session was the first time she got to be selfish. Like, I don't count Uthiel's stuff being selfish only because, yeah, that was part of her agenda, but
you're
like,
sending your family?
but like making it right, because at the beginning of this campaign I said if she finds out like he died like just in battle, whatever, she was gonna leave it. Like, she was gonna be pissed, but she was gonna leave it and just, you know, live out the grief stages and be like, fine. And then when she found out there was way more than that, and like it was purposely done, even before we got it this far, it was like, no, I'm not letting that go. That's not right.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for a short rest. Thank you for this. It feels like more of a character deep dive, but I appreciate that. As well as a little recap of what happened during our last session. Guys, we're getting close to
Episode 90.
Yeah, we're kind of like we're pretty much in the end game. We're on the sprint, because people have been taken, actions are happening, undead are falling from the sky, and the players are doing whatever they can to get rid of this last phylactery, second to last.
Yeah.
And then who knows? So yeah, until then, see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.